And for the ones that are coming afterwards, they'll just jump in where we have gotten started. Welcome everyone to Adaptability Quotient. You are here, and I want to hear why you're here. Like, what is it that that made you sign up for this course? This is a course where I am sharing information, but it's also a course where I want to learn more about you and what you want to take away from it. So, Danya, you were here first. Share with us, and you're welcome. If you don't want to come off mute, Ashish, you're welcome to put it in the chat box as well. What do you want to walk away with? What got you interested in adaptability?
Sure. I can say that I know the concept of adaptability and I have started to explore it in more depth. And this is part of me wanting to get exposure around that construct and what does it look like for us to exercise the adaptability muscles? What sort of skills we need to be working on for ourselves and more broadly in organizations and in spaces where we are influencing decision making.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I think if not now, when is the time to have to build that skill, to build that muscle of adaptability? Absolutely. I agree with you. And it is for business purposes as much as it is for personal purposes because we are holistic beings and the way we do things is the way we do things. How we do one thing is how we do everything. And adaptability, that adaptability skill or muscle that is very deep, and we'll go through the composites of the adaptability domains itself, that will have an impact on the whole person, and that will travel through your personal life and through your business life. Ashish, I would love to hear from you in the
Sure.
chat box, or yes, you're coming out. Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. So knowing it on cognitive level is one thing, and practicing is an entirely different thing.
Yeah,
Second
I agree.
aspect is second aspect is when we are in flow of things, it requires a different level of consciousness to figure out when we are keeping ourselves in constraint and we are adapting. It's like looking from outside is a very different view, and when we are in the situation, when we are in the flow and lot of pressure is there, so sometimes things go out of hand.
I love how you said, when we're under pressure, because that's when we're really getting where the essence of who we are and what we're made of and what skills do we have and have present to call upon. That is practiced best under pressure, or we get feedback if we're really, well, I think I'm pretty adaptable, but under pressure, we get feedback of if that's really true or not. So, and I agree with all of you. We can constantly grow. We can constantly better ourselves. So let me go ahead. I am going to share some slides with you. If you'd like to have the slide deck, just let me know in the chat box and I'll make sure to share if that is something that you'd like. Let me go ahead and share some of my slides. So today we are starting with the introduction, or a concise introduction to the adaptability quotient, or called AQ. And you see here, this is a statement of the law of requisite riety that is adapted to adaptability. The law of requisite riety states the person with the most flexibility controls the system. But to adapt it to what we're doing here, I adapted it to the adaptability quotient. The person with the most adaptability controls the environment. And I thank you for gifting me personally with your most valuable asset, and that is your time today. So I want to be very mindful that we are spot on, that you're taking away information here, because this is the essential skill for thriving in today's world. And can we just say it's a crazy world of constant change, and it is ever evolving, and it is a world where adaptability is not a nice to have. It is not a soft skill. It is a necessity. And the person that has the adaptability within themselves, not just gone out and taken a concise introduction to adaptability for an hour, but really implements it and practices it and breathes it and recognizes that under pressure, I actually am capable of flexing in and out of these skills that are part of the AQ. That's when you get feedback from life that you're able to, dare I use this P word that I think is completely overused during the pandemic, the ability to pivot, to learn, to grow in response to change. And those are the defining factors of success. So a little bit really quick about me. Why should you even listen to me? I am a global speaker. I'm invited to speak all around the world. I am headed out to Toronto tomorrow morning, turning around on Monday to then fly to Germany to do a culture mastermind there. But my goal for you is to help you understand the essentials and the fundamentals of adaptability intelligence, along with why and how you would integrate AQ into your business and how we do that through the world's through learning more about the AQ certification program or AQ as a whole. I have been training corporate clients and government clients for the last 25 years. My background is in education. I am originally from Germany. I have lived in the United States for, almost more than half of my life now. So I am a born German and adapted the American lifestyle and the American way. Adaptability quotient. Why is it important? Who says it's important? And how do you implement it? Those are all really, really good questions. And some of you have already answered some of the things why it is important. I mentioned earlier that if you're not able to adapt in today's world, you're out. And it happens very quickly these days. So these are, in order to improve anything, we have to be able to measure it. And if it's not measurable, it doesn't exist. So we started to look at adaptability as a key component in today's life to thrive in the future. And what most professionals are now looking for are the signs in a specific trait, and that is not intellect or IQ. It is less now also on EQ, on emotional intelligence, which that also is still a pretty big factor. But now, truly, with the rise of AI, and it's not just a rise, the market flooding of anything artificial intelligence, it must be adaptability. How well a person reacts to the inevitability of change. It's the behavior of a person or an employee or a teammate or a client or a boss, their reactions, and the adaptability is known as that form of intelligence. And when we can build, when we can improve that muscle of adaptability, we have that additional piece of intelligence. So AQ can be measured, it can be tested, and therefore it can be improved upon. Adaptability is broken in 3 areas: ability, character, and environment. So ability, character, and environment. AQ ability. How and to what degree do I adapt? Because it's a choice. I have a choice to adapt. I can just, I'm pretty sure I'm preaching to the choir here. I can just sit in my chair and say, and maybe you have a boss like that. Maybe you have a teammate like that. Maybe you have a partner like that, that says, we've always done it this way, so we will continue to do it this way. This is probably not the best time to say things like that. And trust, I work with Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies, and there are plenty of companies where C-level executives say exactly that. We've always done it this way, so we will continue to do that, to do it that way. That is the death sentence. So how you want to behave and react, and what kind of people you want to surround yourself with. That is the ability piece. The AQ character states to who adapts and why. Big goals, growth, achievement. Some have to adapt because of their duty, because of their responsibilities, because of their job description. So they must, or else they're facing drastic consequences, meaning they're out. Like they're losing their customer, or even worse, they're losing their job. And then the third piece of the AQ is the AQ environment. When does someone adapt, and to what degree do they adapt? People spend around 2/3 of their time working. Used to, I would say people would spend around 2/3 of their time at their job, at their office where they would go to until the pandemic, of course. And now people are in their own created space that they might have created at home. And during the pandemic, I'm pretty sure you remember, I remember, we had to make shift of the space that we had, and that became our work environment. So people spend around 2/3 of their time working, and their life is impacted by the environment that they work in. If it's a great work environment, they're more likely to thrive and like to go and do their work. And if they're lonely, or if they're disconnected, or the work environment just basically sucks, their personal life is also impacted by that. As I said earlier, we're holistic beings. There's not a button somewhere in the back or the side or the front that we can turn on and now be in work mode and completely shut off how we feel about what our spouse said this morning to us in a positive or a negative way. We are holistic beings. There's not an off button for personal stuff or for business stuff in any given moment. I have a client who is a OBGYN, and he works in a large hospital. And, sometimes he tells me that during childbirth, he lost a baby, or during childbirth, he lost a mom, or during childbirth, he lost a baby and a mom. And I ask him, how do you deal with that? Like, how do you not take that home? And he says, well, I do take it home. And that is, unfortunately part of my job. This quote is from 2015, so this is 10 years old, by the National Institute for Health. As a disposition and skill, adaptability is essential to an individual psychological health, social success, and academic or workplace achievement. So already in 2015, adaptability was on the rise, and now we are here and we see the evidence in all sorts of places. So LinkedIn Learning in 2024 says it's the top skill of the moment, adaptability. You see communication is number one, customer service, leadership, and so on and so forth. But the most important one is adaptability. It is the in-demand skill. And it's been one of the top in-demand skills for the last several years. And now that I'm saying that, and maybe that's why you are here, you've probably read an article, or you probably see more about adaptability. Perhaps you are on LinkedIn and you see more of it on LinkedIn, or in some of the literature that you read. It's current, it's part of the zeitgeist, because it has to be right now. The pandemic has definitely accelerated the population's need to adapt. And we are here to support. And when I say we here at the Center of Training, and you now as well, the more you learn, the more you can help others to identify the domains and the subdomains of adaptability. And the fact that you're here just tells me that you recognize it as well. So thank you for that. So here's more evidence. Adaptability in the #1 in-demand skill. Harvard Business School says here 71% adaptability, 48% curiosity, 43% comfort with ambiguity, and 47% creativity. So definitely adaptability is the highest percentage. 71% of executives surveyed in more than 90 countries said adaptability was the most important leadership quality in these times. And again, resilience and adaptability in LinkedIn development and LinkedIn workplace learning. More evidence, we see it here, Forbes, HRD, LinkedIn, McKinsey, you see it. There's more and more evidence of the high demand, and it's a really positive thing to see. Just what we need to focus on and improve, the adaptability intelligence is that more than ever. We're starting to see tools like the AQ AI tool to begin to supply this demand for learning, for professional development, for personal development, for better wellness, for mental health, for career agility, for to improve agile leaders, to improve companies, organizations that are crossing cultures, to improve relationships, to improve skills that have to do with change and innovation and transformation, and adaptability is a big piece of that. So my question to you is, where could you use AQ? In order to improve anything, you have to be able to measure it, as I said it earlier. So where can you use it? Anyone in the chat box? You want to put it in the chat box? Where would you use AQ? Or you're welcome to just come on out. Where would you use it? Give me a scenario, give me an idea where you would use it. Or any use cases that you might remember or have. Ashish, where would you use it?
I'm not aware of any measurement scale where we can rank on a scale, numerical or categorical. I can just say yes or no, was able to adapt that also after situation is over. So did I work well, or I could have done it better? So these two things I can assess after the event is over. But in the event, it's difficult to assess. Others can observe a little better, but any categorical scale or numerical scale, I'm not aware of.
Yes, okay, thank you for that. What about Dania?
I'm thinking about it from an organizational change perspective, and in general, in needs for upskilling across different areas in an organization, and how to help individuals and myself push through potential resistance to change that is part of these times.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. I was asked a few months ago to do a training on it was called upward management. So the problem that this was for a government agency, the problem that the agency had was that the director would hand off a task that was not part of the cookie cutter tasks that the engineers received, and they received a task from the director. They looked at the task. They weren't adaptable enough because now they would actually have to think differently because it's not the same structure as their usual tasks, and therefore they just handed it back to the director. And this went on several times. The director handed it to one person, engineer looked at it, I don't recognize, this does not fall into the same strategy I don't know, I'm glitching, and therefore I handed back to the director. So they were lacking adaptability. They brought me in. We then looked at as Ashish said, you can recognize it afterwards. But now that I'm going to give you, and this is a little cheat sheet that I have here for me, I'm going to give this to you. And I would encourage you, this is going to be part of the slides, to print it out for you. This will give you insight on where you can adapt and where you can ask better questions yourself as you aren't seeing the need that you need to adapt, or in the team that you're working with. May that be a team that is under you or above you. Okay, so this is going to be my little cheat sheet for you, and I absolutely love it, and I know that you're going to have get great use out of it. So use cases of AQ, employee wellness, we already said it. Unexpected or even expected change is one of the primary proven stress triggers and enhancers in the workplace. So when we can adapt, then the mental health, employee wellness, the managing upward, or the calling in sick will not increase. It will become better. It will actually be less. Change and transformation, as Dania said. Innovation, identifying the right fit talent for innovation initiatives. So you don't want to just hire great talent. You actually want to have your talent sit in the correct driver's seat to move the machine forward. Talent retention and leadership development. Company culture, a big, big, big one. Others include employee learning and development, as I already said, mergers and acquisitions, recruitment, reskilling programs. Though it's not set exactly like that, the goal essentially is to help everybody in the world understand their own relationship with change and then improve on that, building that AQ muscle, and use that in a way that improves their own life and the lifespan of their career in happiness and that of their business. So if we deal with employees as much as with business owners, as much as with C-level executives and HR professionals. So as long as you have a reason for understanding another human being, be it a team member or someone you coach or a boss or a spouse, as well as understanding to use it to your own strengths, you absolutely want to go deeper into learning of the AQ. Okay. So you want to invest in adaptability for all of these reasons. And I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a lot, and we could probably go on and on. But all of these points are backed up by statistics and references. So talent adaptability, according to a study that McKinsey did, employees with a high adaptability are 2.5 times more likely to have a higher performance and actually contribute more to the organization's success. Rapid change. The World Economic Forum reports that 50% of employees will need to be reskilled by 2025 due to rapid changes in tech, market demands, and new ways of working. Competitive advantage. A study by the Boston Consulting Group found that companies with more adaptable employees had a 22% higher total shareholder return compared to their less adaptable counterparts. Productivity, a Korn Ferry survey showed that companies with more agile workforce experienced a 25% increase in productivity. Cost savings, according to a study that the Corporate Executive Board made, the adaptability employees can save organizations up to $12,000 per employee per year due to their adaptability to learn quickly and effectively. So I could give you more and more and more data, because we could go around the circle to back all of those up by more Boston Consulting Group data, by Gartner, by McKinsey, by Korn Ferry. Just know that these studies are made because people need to have the ability to adapt. Now, I showed you my little cheat sheet. Here is, we're going to go into that a little bit more. It's called the ACE model, and you already heard me talk about the ability, the character, and the environment. So the ability is how and to what degree someone adapts. The character is to who adapts and why, and the environment measures when does someone adapt and how quickly do they adapt. So we have these 3 dimensions, and each dimension has 5 subdimensions. And since this is a concise introduction to AQ, we're not going to go into scores or numbers or anything like that. That would be the job of a certification program and training program. But I want to give you, as I already seeded this AQ model, I want to give you the subdimensions as well. So let's look at the ability first. This is the AQ model of adaptability, and we refer to it overall as the ACE model, ACE. Ability, character, environment. Adaptability is the huge mix and the unique mix of a person's ability, character, environment, as I already said, addressing those 3 questions seen on this slide. How and to what degree does someone adapt? Who adapts and why? And when does someone adapt and how quickly? So AQ ability, how and to what degree do I adapt? For example, we have grit, mental flexibility, mindset, resilience. Oh, and number 5 is my absolute favorite, unlearning. Because it is so important, and it goes to what I said at the very beginning of this course. It is great to know that we have people, talented people, that can do specific things according to their responsibility and their job description. But because when we do face change, and we will face change, and you probably are already facing change, we need to become aware of what do we need to unlearn? What no longer serves us? And there's the old, well, we've always done it that way, so we continue to do it that way. That is the most toxic mindset that any business, any individual can have. So the awareness of, okay, I'm doing the same old, and I'm getting this result, and I don't want to get this result. I want to place new desired outcome. What do I need to unlearn? What do I need to stop doing? And what do I actually need to unlearn? Okay, the second one, the C in the ACE model, is character. Who adapts and why? For example, emotional range, extroversion, hope, motivation style, and thinking style. Now, all of these are on a continuum. So where does one fall on the emotional range? High emotional range, low emotional range. Extroversion, introvert, extrovert. Hope, very hopeful or completely hopeless. Motivation style, highly motivated, not motivated at all. Thinking style. So it's a continuum. And then the E in the ACE model is the environment. When does someone adapt and to what degree? Dimensions like company support, emotional health, team support, work environment, and work stress. So when we think back and we look at all of these, we see the ACE model, and this is my little cheat sheet that I have for you. And you can relate to those dimensions and subdimensions of adaptability. This is basically your cheat sheet, your hands-on guide to change ownership. And I specifically say change ownership and not change management, because ownership is something that starts with me, starts within me, because I model it for me and I model it for others. Change management is something removed, something I manage in someone else, but it has to start with me. When you look at these three, ability, character, environment, and this is a little bit of a trick question, but I want to have that conversation with you really quick. Which one do you think is most, if we can even address it that way, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Which one do you think is most important in order to move the needle in a company? Which of these three dimensions would you say is the most important?
That is a hard question. I
It
think it's
is.
all necessary. So you're saying if our hands are tied and we have to pick one of the components, or like one of the 15 sub?
No, one of the three dimensions.
If my hands are tied and I have to pick one, which I don't think we should, but if we have to, I would say ability.
Okay.
And I would say that because in the absence of the environment, if you have the grit and you have the mental flexibility, you could create possibility in an environment that is not conducive to what you want, and possibly push through with resilience and unlearning, and just pushing through and looking at things from different perspective in terms of the mindset. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. What about Ashish? Do you have an opinion on this?
If
And
we
it's
are
not,
looking from
there is,
organization perspective, depending on whose eyes we are referencing, if we are looking from organization perspective, providing environment is the easiest way to support this adaptability. If you're looking from personal perspective, then we can pick EQ, ability part.
the ability part. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
changing self is easiest to start, and changing others probably may require a little more guided effort.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. And there's no right or wrong answer to this. Environment is the one that is most removed from a person, but it has the greatest impact on how someone performs. You can have the greatest grit and the most mental flexibility. If your workspace sucks, it will have an impact on you. If the people around you are negative and naysayers, and they constantly go against your resilience, or your willingness to unlearn, and you're motivating yourself, and you're full of hope, and your environment is not supportive at all, eventually it'll chisel away day after day, bit by bit, on the ability and the character. And I'm pretty sure you've either experienced it in yourself before, or you have witnessed it in others. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. I would do well, we already did that. I want to go, let's see if this is no, this is not a video. I'm going to give you a link to a video that you can watch outside of this adaptability course. So, adaptability, why does it matter to you? It's measurable. It's actionable. It's a way to navigate, as Danya said earlier, change, uncertainty. Uncertainty right now is a big piece, not just in this country, but in many countries. Disruption, tech is disrupting, politics is disrupting, and those are all constants. Those uncertainty, change, disruption, those are constants in business. And they will be, if we look back in history, those have been constants in business. It's not necessarily how or what has created uncertainty, change, and disruption, but the uncertainty, change, and disruption has been a constant all along. So here's why it matters. Self-awareness for strategic decision-making. Personal leadership insight. Knowing your own AQ reveals your own adaptability strengths and also your own blind spots. And that helps you lead more effectively in these unpredictable times and markets. Targeted growth. Instead of vague, oh, you got to be more flexible, you got to pivot, you got to, you got to you got to focus on other things, you got to adapt more, with the hindsight that Ashish said earlier. Now you have clear, pinpointed, exact areas, mindset, resilience, learning agility, and so on and so forth, that you can adapt and develop faster. Number 2, building a resilient team culture, team adaptability map. Understanding the AQ profile of your own team shows how they collectively respond to change. Are they energized, or are they resistant, or are they kind of completely removed or neutral? Role optimization. You can assign responsibilities based on how a team member handles ambiguity, handles innovation, reducing friction during crisis or during even heightened times of uncertainty. Culture shifts. AQ awareness gives a shared language to talk about change without the judgment. Moving from, well, they're just resistant, or she's just continuing to do the same thing, to their AQ drivers, and that now you're listing them specifically, need strengthening. And sometimes as a team lead, it is really important and really painful to look at the environment. And that's where team culture also comes in, or company culture. Number 3, competitive advantage in fast-moving markets. Change readiness as a KPI. High AQ teams respond to disruption faster than your competitors, turning challenges into opportunities. Hello. Innovation through flexibility. The higher the AQ, the easier it is to embrace the new technologies, business models, and market shifts. Investor and partner confidence. A business can only prove adaptability and is more a business that can prove adaptability is more attractive to stakeholders, and especially in a volatile industry. And then number 4, reduce burnout and higher retention. Because when we already said, when the environment sucks, burnout is absolutely real, because you're constantly, no matter what your mindset is, no matter how driven you are, no matter how great you are, if you are going against an environment that is not supportive or even toxic, that's a clear setup for burnout. And in addition to that, low AQ individuals often experience a higher stress in times of change. So the awareness lets you support those people in your team. And maybe that those people, you start with yourself. And then retention leverage. Teams who feel equipped to handle uncertainty stay longer, are more engaged, and also reduce costs, because turnover is expensive. So this is a example of an AQ report. The higher the organization's AQ, the more adaptable the employees are. I'm going to say that again. The higher the organization's AQ, the more adaptable the employees are. So it's an indicator of the organizational's health ability to cope with change in the market. And you see here, there's a number up here. This says 551 of 900. So it is an indicator, if you are a team lead, if you're a manager, if you're C-level executive, or even, if you're in HR, this is a great measurable tool to see where are we as a company as a whole, and then to drill into, do we have the people in the right places? Do we have a great company culture? Do we have a company culture do we have a true company culture, or do we just have something on paper, which are basically your core values? So we look at the ability dimension of what were they again? Grit, mental flexibility, mindset, resilience, and unlearn. And that gives you the overall score. So AQ ability represents learned adaptability skills, such as the ability to pursue a goal long-term despite of obstacles. That measures grit. The ability to hold contradictory ideas in mind, that's mental flexibility. Self-beliefs, that's the mindset. Recover from setbacks, that's resilience. And the ability to be able to let go of old skills and learn new ones. That's the unlearn piece or subdimension. This score reflects the overall collective average of your employees' AQ ability. Whilst it will almost certainly vary from individual to individual, this collective score reflects the likelihood overall that employees will respond positively to change, embrace new ideas, deliver on long-term objectives, and bounce back from challenges. Now, this is the character dimension and subdimension. As individuals have personality and character, so do your organizations. Your organization's AQ character score is comprised of the collective average of your teams and shows the common adaptability trends amongst employees. AQ character describes adaptability elements linked to more innate and semi-fixed aspects of oneself. It is composed of emotional range, extroversion preference, hope, motivation style, and thinking style. AQ character reflects the way in which individuals might approach adapting and offers predictors of adaptability behavior. Applied to a group organizational setting, it offers insight into which situations your employees are likely to respond adaptable to and which situations may challenge their adaptability. Well, doesn't that sound easy? But that means you got to go through the whole process. And then environment. Your organization's workplace environment can either help or inhibit the adaptation of employees. This AQ environment score in part reflects how supportive employees perceive the organization to be towards adaptability, as well as factoring in immediate working environment. That includes colleagues, teams, direct managers. AQ environment not only reflects how collaborative your organizational workplace is, but also how facilitative it is of innovation and transformation. We measure AQ environment across these 5 subdimensions: company support, emotional health, team support, work environment, and work stress. So this is how the overall report looks. Now, people have asked me, why do it? Is it a soft skill? Do you guys think it's well, let's talk about that term real quick, soft skill. What do you think about soft skill? Tanya?
I like better power skill, and it's
Thank
really
you.
hard. It's really hard because it requires a level of self-awareness and constant mindfulness, and back to Ashish's point, in points of stress and in the flow of work or the flow of life, how do we self-adjust as need to? And that's really hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for that. I agree. And honestly, there's nothing soft about these so-called, I love how you said it, power skills.
Yeah.
And it makes, if we don't have these power skills, it makes the rest of our work really, really, really hard. So let's go into the return on investment of AQ. Productivity. 45% highly adaptive, resilient workers are 45% more likely to report high levels of productivity compared to those with low resilience scores. This is a ADP Global Workplace Study of 2022. Well-being, we already talked about well-being. Leadership, 147%. Companies with leaders that can double the rate of engaged employees achieve 147% higher earnings per share than their competition. That is a Gallup study. Well-being is a Health and Well-being at Work 2022 survey report. 42% of organizations are providing more line management training to support employee well-being. I would even say if we do this today, 3 years later, I would say that's probably even higher. Career mobility, 83% per PwC's Global Workplace survey. Change readiness, 66%. That's it's embedded change readiness. And reskilling, 68%. 68% of workers are aware of coming disruptions in their fields and are willing to reskill to remain competitively employed. So basically, failing to adapt costs money, impacts performance, fuels mental health problems, leads to lost opportunities, kills possibilities, and most importantly, companies fail, clients' needs are not met, and jobs are lost, and people's lives suffer. That's it. And as Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't prove it. That's why we have the adaptability report. So if that is something that is interesting to you and you want to learn more about adaptability and perhaps even want to go into an adaptability course and learn more about it, or you want to take the adaptability survey or assessment, you can. It is a I'd have to look back. I think it's a $300 assessment, and that comes with a coaching session to decipher the report itself. It is an interesting assessment. I'm pretty sure all of you have done many assessments over your life. This is an AI assessment that adapts its questions on the question before. So it is not a linear set of questions, but it is a, what do you call that? That would be a, there's a term for that, and I'm blanking out on it right now. But it is
Like dynamic? Like
dynamic. That was the word. Thank you. Dynamic. That was exactly the word I was looking for. Yeah. Yeah. So this is it from my side. Any questions that you have? And I see, Dania, that you're asking for the slides. Was that the yes, please? Yeah, I'll send them to you. Ashish, would you like to have the slides as well?
I made some notes, so I don't need slides per se, but it was quite good walkthrough or illustration. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And if there are any questions along the way, I'm going to add my email here in the chat box, brigitta@hoferle.com. If there's anything that you are curious about or you want to continue learning more about adaptability, then please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to support. Thank you for being here. Bye, everyone.
bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.